Wade Maynor, ladies and gentlemen.
Here's a song that I did back in the 30s. Perhaps you have some of my records and all, and that we just going to play some of the old songs. Go back in the 30s and pick up some of them old ones that we used to do back in the mountains in North Carolina, all around that area. Take me in your life, Lord, let me in your life, Lord. It will stand raging storms. Take me in your life, Lord, let me in your life, Lord. It will bear my spirit home. Come, brothers, sisters, don't fall asleep. Pray night and day, are you sinking deep? Fathers and mothers are crying so loud, praying, Lord, won't you take us in your life, Lord? Take me in your life, Lord, let me in your life, Lord. It will stand raging storm. Take me in your life, Lord, let me in your life, Lord. It will bear my spirit home. The clouds are so heavy, the wind is so loud, the thunder is rolling, bursting in the clouds. Pray tell the Savior what he had done. He took a dying sinner in the lifeboat. Take me in your life, Lord, let me in your life, Lord. It will stand raging storm. Take me in your life, Lord, let me in your life, Lord. It will burn my spirit home. I learned the banjo playing when I was a boy growing up, and my dad, he was a good singer, had a wonderful voice, and I guess I took my singing after him with the voice, but he never did play no music, and so I'm a self-made banjo player myself, and we went on and done some playing around through the country and fiddlers conventions and such things as that, you know. And people seemed to like us so well. Then we, a little later on, RCA Victory of the Victory Radio record shop, they heard about us. And that's me and my brother I'm talking about, J.E. And we started a little band of our own. And we got to growing into music. And finally we took it up full professional. And we would go out to corn shuckings and lassie pulling, bean stringing, and all that to play for the people. And they would have us, you know, when they'd have a corn shucking, they would, farmers would bring the corn in a big heap and load it up, and then they'd send for us to come to play music and then invite the people to come to the corn shucking to get the, they done that to get them there so they could shuck all the corn, they wouldn't have to work it, you know. And we'd furnish them a little music, and of course, well, after that they would have the party, and so that's where we kind of got started into the music. This is an old song Maybe you've heard it, maybe you haven't. It's some of the old stuff that we Mainer mountaineers put together way back in the 30s, and that's been a long time ago. And so we had to hunt our songs and dig them up the best we could and find people that would ask for such songs on the radio. And we didn't know it, we'd ask them for the words to send it in so we could learn it. And we'd put these songs on for them, you know. And so we got along pretty good and had to make our songs and build our songs. And then it kept going in a little faster and a little more music and a little faster. And first thing you know, it was getting in a pretty good drive. And next time it was getting pretty high on the ladder. And next time it went into bluegrass. So music has come a long, long way since 1920s, in the 20s. Where did I go to with this here?
Eighth, second.
Second? That's pretty high, ain't it?
Eighth.
Well, I won't take time to tune it because I won't have time to play another number, would I? You're going to sing that Jonah right there now?
I'll try, but I can't get it. Well, you know, Jonah got into a lot of trouble, and
Come
we
on,
will too.
let's make her sing it.
God spoke to Jonah now, this young man to go down and take my command he gave. Give the orders on the royal boat. Go down and preach their doom. Get 40 long days off ice and fire. I'll destroy that city with fire. Jonah, 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 go down to Nineveh, said my Lord. Now Jonah didn't want to cross the man, so he got a ticket to catch off the land. Got a ticket and he got on board a ship with the rocking on down the shore. White dragon comes up in the rise. Captain and the crew got trouble in mind. Said, Lord, Lord, we all be lost if the storm don't stop. Search the vessel for the bottom of the top. Now search the ship from the top to the deep. Found them a man like fast asleep. Get up, Jonah, get up, man. Your God Almighty's gonna destroy this land. Jonah, Jonah. I don't want you to suffer for me. Look old Jonah, cast him overboard. Along come a fish, he swallowed him whole. Fish got sick at God's command. Cast old Jonah on the bar of sand. Well, Jonah preached to the Nineveh land. Then God will find out to give him the shade. Long come a worm, cut it down. Well, well, that's another star in Jonah's crown. Jonah. I didn't know too many girl players back in the day that I was learning my music, but later years my dad bought me a guitar, and I bought a book from the Vagabonds down in Nashville, Tennessee, if any of you remember them when they were on the radio. And it had the guitar chords in it, so I started from there learning the guitar chords and then started to play and sing, in which in later years, in 35, I went to a radio station in North Carolina. The DJ up there in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, they named me Hillbilly Lily. So I carried that name up until I married Wade in 1937, and he changed my name from that to Princess at that time.
They said the marriage wouldn't last. And what year did you get married?
1937.
You reckon it's going to last?
Sit down.
Oh, I can't sit down.
Sit down.
Oh, I can't sit down.
Why don't you sit down?
I can't sit down.
all dressed in blue.
Let my children come in through.
Sit down.
Oh, I can't sit down.
Sit down.
Oh, I can't sit down.
Why don't you sit down?
Well, I can't sit down. I just got to heaven and I got to walk around.
Sit down.
I can't sit down.
Sit down.
Well, I can't sit down.
Why don't you sit down?
Well, I can't sit down. I just got to heaven and I got to walk around.
Come, my friend, let's go see.
What God has for you and me.
I see Jesus on the throne.
Aren't you glad you made it home?
Sit down.
I can't sit down.
Sit down.
Oh, can't sit down.
Why don't you sit down?
Well, I can't sit down. I just got to heaven and I got to walk around.
Sit down.
Can't sit down.
Sit down.
Oh, can't sit down.
Why don't you sit down?
Well, I can't sit down. I just got to heaven and I got to walk around. Or I just got to heaven and I got to walk around.
Wade and Julia Maynard, folks. True living legends in this business.
Lester Flatt used to say, Sack, you ain't the best picker in the world when it comes to picking this mandolin, but I always liked the way you held it. Thank you.
All right, Tom, if you would take control of the mic. Curly, tell us about some of the early places you played.
Oh, my early days, that goes way back before fertilize. Yeah, I started out with me and my brothers, back in the middle 30s. And man alive, it was just something else. We called ourselves, the Yodeling Rangers. Back then, everybody had to have a 10-gallon hat, or you just wasn't an entertainer. And I had one that just fit on my head that looked like the top of a steeple in a church almost. It was so big.
All right. These fellas here, I've never worked with them, and it's very little work I've ever done. But anyway, we're going to dump you out some here. We hope you're going to like this a little bit of. Boys, if you're ready, let's scatter that first one.
Oh, why did you wonder? Why did you ever roam? When you know you're always so happy, all alone in our old mountain home.
I started out with the 5-string banjo. Can you imagine that? Wonder if Earl heard that. Then I went to the tenor banjo. Then I went from that to the mandolin. What'd you say, Josh?
He said one time, the mandolin is sure dead as Hank Williams. I said, yeah, and you done more to kill it than anybody I've ever seen.
Yeah, Lord.
He didn't care, boy. He'd horse that thing, but he kept off a good rhythm. He did that.
Well,
I can still hear that rhythm behind me,
Appreciate your help, Josh. But anyway, I don't think I'd have been able to have got to first base if the good Lord hadn't given me a voice to sing this tenor that I sung so many years. It's just a little bit different. And Josh, you always said it was always pretty loud.
Yeah.
Is that right? What did you say?
Still rings in my ear. I tell you what, they'd park down on the street. We'd go up WSM tape or radio shows. They'd send me down to plug the parking meters, and him and Lester'd be singing something. I could hear him. That was on the 3rd floor. That tenor was coming through. I couldn't hear Lester, but I could sure hear him. That voice would cut just like a knife.
In the shadows of a pine, there's a girl and I know she's mine. Life worth living any time down in Carolina. And no matter where I go, she'll be waiting down. and I'll find a girl of mine down in Carolina. Curly hair and eyes of blue, heart of love is all for you, and I know that it's true down in Carolina. And no matter where I go, she'll be waiting down there, and I'll find a girl of mine down in Carolina. She is waiting there for me, soon her smile and her love I'll see. She's all mine when I can be down in Carolina. And no matter where I go, she'll be waiting down there, and I'll find a girl of mine down in Carolina. Arms that hold me close and tight, lips that kiss me goodnight, pair of eyes so big and bright down in Carolina. And no matter where I go, she'll be waiting down there, and I'll find a girl of mine down in Carolina. Anyway, I got the last lick. You know, a strange thing happened to me here today, out there a while ago. This woman come over there, boy, and just yanked me.
What?
Oh, she wore me good.
Huh.
And I got to thinking, what kind of deal is this? And she kept on, she said, Curly, give me your money. I said, good Lord, woman, I ain't got a nickel. But if you'll do that again, I'll write you a check. Well, here's that number, Moonlight on My Cabin. When it's moonlight on my cabin, I'll be waiting. When it's moonlight on the pine trees, I'll be there. For I know there is someone that should be waiting. When it's a moonlight on the pine trees, I'll be there. For the lone trail of the lonesome pine is winding, and the whippoorwill they sing their lonesome song. There's a girl up in the mountains waiting for me, with her big brown eye and wavy long black hair. By my Blue Ridge Mountain home I am returning, heading up the hillside, never more to roam. When it's a moonlight on my cabin, I'll be coming. When it's a moonlight on the pine trees, I'll be there. When it's a moonlight on my cabin, I'll be waiting. When it's a moonlight on the pine trees, I'll be there. For I know there is someone that should be waiting. When it's a moonlight on the pine trees, I'll be there. On a scale of 1,
Yeah, we'll do
what
that.
key?
In D, dog.
D?
D, I think.
Come in. This fiddle player, Lester Woody. Would you give Lester a nice hand? And Lester, if you would, you know all these other boys here. Would you introduce them? I don't know them. I don't know that.
You're among friends, but you're in stranger land, aren't you?
Yeah, you know, I've never worked with them before, but we're doing a fair job.
We could be a band.
Yeah. You want to introduce them or?
Yeah, I know part of them.
Oh, you know part of them,
Yeah.
huh? Well,
This man right here has made a name for himself down on the Grand Ole Opry with Bill Monroe and other folks down there. Tony Ellis on banjo. How about a hand for him? Singing the lead parts and the tenor parts and playing the guitar, and sometimes runs his mouth a little bit.
Not Curly me.
Dave Verney, right there.
Dave.
Good man. The man on the end, I think, needs no introduction. He's played with everybody from the Seldom Scene originally to us guys, and everybody in between, and I literally mean that. He travels all the time, still playing every day, and we're happy to have Mr. Tom Gray on bass fiddle.
Tom Gray.
Thank you, Frank.
Now tell them what you're going to fiddle.
If you can imagine, it's a cold winter's night, and the old man's by the fire, got the fire going, and the wood stacked by the fireplace. He pulls the fiddle down off the wall, decides he'd entertain himself a little bit, and he looks down, and there's a cricket down there, and he thought he'd get him, throw him in the fire, and every time he'd reach for him, that cricket would jump. And this is about that tune. It's called Cricket on the Hearth, and the cricket gets a little bit irate on the end, so we'll see if we can do it.
That's some good fiddling, I'm telling you. That's about as good a fiddling as I've ever heard, boy, when it comes to that one particular tune. Leslie Keith used to do that number back years ago. Cricket on the Hearth. You know, tonight we've got a number of fellers that I've worked with down through the years, and I'm going to bring some of them out to do a little work here tonight. And the first young man I'd like to bring out is one of the McCormick brothers. You know, we lost two of them here this year. And to me, they were some of the finest people that any man could ever walk in a door and sit down and eat a meal with. I was up there a number of times and eat a mini meal in their home up there where we was born and raised. And I'll never forget Miss Mary, their mom. Sometimes I'd be up there and she'd say, "Curly," said, "it's supper time." Said, "Get over there, you know where your place is at the table." And she'd open up that back door and yell out down there to the barn, say, "Lord, come on home, it's supper time." Boy, I can still hear her saying those words. But this boy here, back when I worked some with the McCormick brothers, he was in a diaper. When he comes out here, I don't think we could put a diaper on him now. He has growed. Nice hands, if you will, for Gerald McCormick. Hey.
Thank you, Curly.
Yeah. Now come in there and talk.
Thank you, Curly, and I'd just like to say what an honor and a privilege that it is to be on the stage with you the night that you was inducted into the Hall of Honor. It's a privilege to sing with you. Thank you so much.
It's an honor to have you out here with us.
Well, thank you.
Great.
Let's give him a big hand. As you well know, you've been my favorite tenor singer. Like you said, ever since I was knee-high to a duck.
Yep.
And I thoroughly enjoy hearing you sing on this song here, one called Crying My Heart Out Over You.
All right.
Now I'm crying my heart out over you. Those blue eyes, now they smile at someone new. Ever since you went away, I die a little more each day. When I'm crying my heart out over you. Each night I climb the stairs up to my room. It seems I hear you whisper in the gloom. I hear your footsteps in the hall, see your picture on the wall, while I'm crying my heart out over you. Now I'm crying my heart out over you. Those blue eyes, now they smile at someone new. Ever since you went away, I die a little more each day, while I'm crying my heart out over you. Off somewhere the music's playing soft and low, and a stranger holds the one that I love so. I was blind, I could not see that she meant the world to me, and like a fool I stood and watched her go. Now I'm crying my heart out over you. Those blue eyes, now they smile at someone new. Ever since you went away, I die a little more each day, while I'm crying my heart out over you. Now I'm crying my heart out over you. Thank you, Charlie.
Another nice hand for Gerald McCormick, will you? You know, I bet it'd be entertaining to put a diaper on him, don't you reckon? Fine young man there, and a great singer, the McCormick brothers. They had a wonderful group together back years and years ago. I'd like to bring out another feller. He came to work with me in '81. A nice hand, if you will, for Mr. Willis Spears. Hey! Come on in here, my good man. Speak right into it.
Thank you so much, Curly, and a very special, great big hi to each and every one, and I appreciate all those nice words. You know, it's a privilege and an honor for me to come up this way tonight to pick and sing for you folks, and to be here for the unveiling of my friend's plaque out there on the wall. This is no more deserving to anyone in the music business than this man right here, because I worked with him a number of years, and he's just a super nice kind of guy. I appreciate him so much. It's certainly an honor to be here tonight, Curly.
It's great to have you here. It really is.
To help you out with a few numbers, and I hope you folks might enjoy. This is actually the first number here that Curly and I ever sang together, and it was the last number that we put on the tape or the album that Curly put out, Curly Seckler Legends and Friends. He asked me to do a number on there with him. And I said, Curly, why don't we do the first number we sang, and let this be, probably might be the last one that we'd record together. Hey. And we'd like to do it for you here tonight. One called I'll Go Stepping Too.
At my age?
I'll Go Stepping, boys. Don't think that I'll be hanging around while you're having fun. I won't be here crying over you. From now on, when you step out, tell you what I'll do. I lock the door, put out the cat, and I'll go stepping too. Yes, I'll go stepping to my honey, I'll go stepping too. I lock the door, put out the cat, and I'll go stepping too. From now on, when you come in, you won't tell where you've been. With your hair messed up and your clothes don't fit you right. Don't start to yelling if you find lipstick on me too. Then you will know I have been stepping just like you. Yes, I was stepping to my honey, I was stepping too. I locked the door, put out the cat, and I was stepping too. From now on, when you come in, you won't tell where you've been. And you tell me there are more fish in the sea. The bait ain't what it used to be, and I got news for you. After this, when you step out, then I'll go stepping too. Yes, I'll go stepping to my honey, I'll go stepping too. I'll lock the door, put out the cat, and I'll go stepping too.
Like Grandpa Jones says, when I do that, that's the end.
And I got to tell you one thing. That man sitting right there, Curly Seckler, bought me the first good dobro I ever had.
Yeah, and you never did pay me for it.
He always says that. But he was my friend the time I come to Nashville. That was 50 years ago. And I bought this guitar from this old boy, and he was shipping it in COD, and I didn't have the money to pick it up. He said, come on, let's go down there and get it. I think it was $70. And I still got the guitar today. I had it stolen once, and would have got it back after 3 years, but if I was a young feller then, and needed money. Every dime I had, I'd send home to the wife and the kids. But he loaned me money to eat on, and you don't forget somebody like that. And I hold him up very high, I tell you that, as my friend.
You heard him, Lord. Listen, here is entitled, this is one that I recorded with Ralph Stanley. Now he's on that CD that we have outside there too, in case you neighbors like to pick it up. Ralph come in and did this one with me. One entitled, Lord, I'm a-coming home. But I ain't in no hurry now. I thought I'd pass that on, you know. I wander far away from God. Now I'm coming home. The path of sin no long I've climbed. Lord, I'm coming home. Coming home. Oh, coming home. Never more to roam. Open wide thine arms of love. Lord, I'm coming home. I'm tired of sin and striving, Lord. Now I'm coming home. I trust the Lord, believe the word. Lord, I'm coming
more time. I've wasted many precious years. Now I'm coming home. I'm now reaping with bitter tears. Lord, I'm coming home. Coming home. Oh, coming home. Evermore to roam. Open wide thine arms of love. Lord, I'm coming home.
Please welcome Jesse McReynolds and the Virginia Boys.
Thank you very much. Welcome you all to our part of the show tonight. It's good to be with you. Boy, have we got a legend show tonight, haven't we?
What did you say?
Good to see all these people out. Some folks I hadn't seen in a long time. A lot of people I grew up listening to, and it's good to see our friends, especially Wade Maynard. I worked with Wade back in 1948, I think, down in North Carolina, and good to see Wade out here on the stage once again. Of course, all the other folks too. We have a few things we'd like to do for you from some of the old things we've done through the Jim and Jesse years, and a couple of new things that we have out. We hope you'll enjoy some of the things we have. Here's one called "When a Blue Moon Turns to Gold Again."
Memories that linger in my heart, memories that makes my heart grow cold. But someday they'll live again, sweetheart, and my blue moon again will turn to gold. When my blue moon turns to gold again, when the rainbow turns the clouds away. When my blue moon turns to gold again, you'll be back within my arms to stay. The lips that used to thrill me so, your kisses were meant for only me. Maybe we will live them all again, but my golden moon is just a memory. When my blue moon turns to gold again, when the rainbow turns the clouds away. When my blue moon turns to gold again, you'll be back within my arms to stay. The castles we build in dreams together, we're the sweetest story ever told. Maybe we will live them all again, and my blue moon again will turn to gold. When my blue moon turns to gold again, when the rainbow turns the clouds away. When my blue moon turns to gold again, you'll be back in my arms to stay. Well, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Every day, 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 I let my little light shine. Well, Jesus gave us light, I'm gonna
let it shine. Jesus gave us light, time to let it shine. Jesus gave us light, time to let it shine. Every day, 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 I let my little light shine. Well, Jesus gave us light, I'm gonna let it shine. Jesus gave us light, I'm gonna let it shine. Jesus gave us light, I'm gonna let it shine. Every day, every day, every day, every day, every day, every day, I let my little light shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Every day, 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 I let my little light shine.
Thank you very much. Before we introduce the band, I'd like to introduce my singing partner here, who's we got a lot in common. He sang with his brother many years as the Whitstein Brothers, done a lot of great records, and of course his brother passed away about 4 years ago, and my brother, we lost him about 2 years ago now, so we got together and got a brand new CD out, and he does a great job singing tenor. Charles Whitstein. Let's give Charles a big hand, will you? Over here on the fiddle is a boy that started to work with us when he was a real young fellow from around Roanoke, Virginia. And he's been with a lot of groups since then, and it's good to have him back. His name is Steve Thomas. Let's give Steve a big hand. We're sort of having a reunion with some of our boys too this year, and of course we've had a reunion with him forever. This is Ray Kirkland. Let's give Ray a big hand on bass. And the next one over there, I sort of watched this boy grow up. He's my great nephew. He grew up in Dayton, Ohio, and he's one of the greatest guitar players we have in Nashville now. He's worked with Barbara Mandrell for about 10 years and went to Las Vegas and played all that hot music. And we're going to make a bluegrass picker out of him yet. His name is Dave Savage. Let's give Dave a big hand. And one on the end over there is the smilingest banjo player that's ever been in the business. He helped us establish the Jim and Jesse sound many years ago, and glad we could get him to sort of come out of retirement and pick some with us this summer. Let's give a hand to Alan Shelton on the banjo, will you? Oh, he can still do it. That's a tune Alan wrote himself called Bending the Strings, and I really enjoy that.
I want to take a minute or two and talk about the gentleman that is playing the mandolin over here and doing a great job singing and emceeing. I first had the pleasure of meeting this gentleman down in Live Oak, Florida at the Swanee River Jamboree back in 1957. We were all just little bitty people. And then we grew up, and Jim and Jesse, Jim McReynolds and Jesse, they had Jim and Jesse and the Virginia Boys back then. And 1964, they joined the Grand Ole Opry, and that's when I had the pleasure of joining the group. It's one of the highlights of my life. And Jim and Jesse was two of the finest fellows that I've ever had the pleasure of meeting, and as far as I'm concerned, they're the greatest duet that ever came to the Grand Ole Opry. True. This gentleman here, he took the mandolin and figured out what to do with one pick that banjo players do with three. And it's called cross picking, and he's the king of cross picking. And since then, almost every mandolin player that has started since those days has copied some form of Jesse's playing. As I said, he's one of the finest guys in the world, and I'm proud to call him my friend. Nice hand once again for Jesse McReynolds, would you?
Thank you, Ray. I appreciate that. I didn't know you were going to say all those good things. I didn't tell him all of that. He made up some more. We're going to do a little instrumental number. I wrote this tune and recorded with Bob Osborne a few years back, and it's called The Okeechobee Wind.
It was an enrichment of music then that we'll never see again. We'll never see anything like it again, the talent that was available then. I know there's a lot of good young pickers nowadays, but these guys, they were doing it because they were hungry, you know, and it makes a difference when
You ain't
when you're
kidding.
doing it because you're hungry.
You know, guys will say, how would you like to be back in the good old days? I say, the heck with that. They said, don't you like to rough it at these festivals? I said, yeah, in a Holiday Inn. I've sat on more stages, and you know, in those days, if they hadn't had peanut butter and bologna, I don't know what we'd have done. Do you?
I really don't know, Josh.
I remember Bill Monroe had a songbook on the air, you know, selling for $1.
Yeah.
Lester was with him, and I said, I ordered that songbook just to see what I kept hearing say, Brother Lester.
Yeah,
And I ordered one of them songbooks, and I said, he said, what'd you do that for? I said, see what you look like. He said, you did, what'd you do? I said, I sent it back to him. You remember when I first met you?
Lord, yeah, I sure do.
It was raining so hard, I'll never forget.
Yeah.
We sat and talked for a long time. Is that the night me and Earl loaded Little Darling's cigar?
It was a little earlier than that, I think, but that was down in Alabama.
Red Bay, Alabama.
Red Bay, Alabama, yeah.
We loaded his cigar. He'd go out and do this little monologue, and he'd go back and rest, you know. He'd sit in that chair and rear back and smoke his cigar. Me and Earl got all these cigarette loads that we could get, and Earl wasn't satisfied with that. He got a penny box of matches, cut the heads off of them, and we crammed them in his cigar. And when we'd go back out, Flat would do 2 hymns, and he was very serious about that. And I'll never forget we was going to do Who Will Sing for Me. And me and Earl knew what was going to happen, because Darling sat down in that chair, and we seen him reach for his cigar, and Flat said, friends, it comes a time that we like to do this for all the people out there that might enjoy. We hold this very dear, do a couple of sacred songs. And he said, we'd like to do one called Who Will Sing for Me. Just about the time I kicked it off with the guitar, he started saying, off they sang. And just about that time, Darling lit that cigar, and that thing took off like a rocket, you know. Flat started laughing. He said, friends, I ordinarily wouldn't do that, but if you'd seen what I did, you'd laugh too. I'll never forget that look on him. He had his hat beating at it with a smoke boiling.
You don't very often, in fact, not since the beginning of time, has there ever been an opportunity like this to interact with these legends in music. So if you've got a question and would like to put your hand in the air, I'll call on you and we'll get an answer out of them.
If you got a request, throw money.
Okay, folks. Kenny Baker and Josh Graves.
Thank you, Georgia, son. Thank you so much. I ain't picked in a year. I worked last Saturday, but that's the first time in a year. I've been in the hospital for a year. Been in bed with a nurse all that time. I've had a rough time, I tell you. They only give me 3 months to live. I went up to pay my bill and I couldn't pay it, and they give me 3 more months. It is a pleasure to come to work for you. And I told them I'd take 2 days in Los Angeles and pay half of the gas just to get out. That hospital don't look too good, I tell you, laying there looking at them walls. I didn't know if I'd ever play again or not, but I promised old master, that old man up there, and I believe in that. If I ever got a chance to come back out again, and I'd say a few words about him and go around and apologize to anybody that I'd made mad at me or anything, and try to start all over again. And thank the Lord I've been able to do that. Thank you, Jordan, son.
I believe my steps are growing wearier each day. Still I've got a journey on my mind. The lures of this old world have ceased to make me want to stay, and my one regret is leaving you behind. If it proves to be His will, I'm the first to go. Somehow I've a feeling it will be. When it's your time to travel likewise, don't you feel alone? I will be the first one that you see. I'll be waiting on the far side bank of Jordan. I'll be waiting, drawing pictures in the sand. And when I see you coming, I will rise up with the shout and come running through the shallow waters, reaching for your hand.
But my daddy bought me a banjo, not the one like Tony plays, but the old drop thumb thing. And my hands were so little I couldn't note it, so I put a clothespin under the top of it, got me a table knife and set it down and tried to play it, with that. It's kind of the way I started till I heard Cliff Carlisle with Jimmy Rogers, and that done it. I played 2 or 3 different instruments, but I figured if you get good on one, you got to stay with it, And a guy asked me one time, said, how do you get your kids to play? I said, throw your guitar on the bed and tell them not to touch it. And that's a good way, but no, I think you got to stay just like Kenny with his fiddle. He plays guitar, but he cut up his hand and he can't do that anymore. But he can still play the fiddle, but he stayed with it. And to me, he's one of the greatest fiddlers that ever lived,
My granddaddy, great-grandfather was a fiddler, and all down through our family. I'm talking about generations back on my great-great-grandfather. He was a fiddler. Well, my dad, he was like all the Kentuckians I ever knew that fooled around with music. Give them a half a gallon of moon and they're happy as a lark. They didn't care where you paid them for playing or not. And my dad, he was known to be one of the better fiddle players in our country up there. And of course, I never heard of him playing professionally, but all the neighbors loved him. He was willing to go, and once they'd move all the furniture out of their bedroom, or living room, let me say, and they'd have a big shindig, they call it. Wouldn't be nothing but a big drunk, really.
We've been on a few of them ourselves.
So, well, anyway, my dad, he got up one Sunday morning. Somebody gave him a big jug of moon, and he was sitting out on the porch. My mother we had a L-shaped porch. She'd swept that side, and Daddy was on this side.
Yeah.
It was about 10, 12, 15 steps down our front steps off of that porch where he was sitting. Mama, she swept up to here. She got around, and he was sitting in that swing, and he'd hit a lick and singing, a little stream of whiskey come flowing down that rock. He'd uncork that, he'd take him a little nip, and my mother didn't like him to drink a lot, you know.
I've heard that story too.
And Mama come around, and she
took her shoe off.
Took her shoe off, and she threw that, just tossed a little old, you've seen them old time house shoes with the big flowers on the instep there. But she didn't mean to hit him or anything like that. She was just playing with him, you know.
I bet she did too.
Well, she tossed that shoe over, and it caught that fiddle right over the banisters it went, and they was a good 30, 40 foot down there. It hit a big rock, and it busted in. He looked at her, said, "Well, Mert, you've stopped the music."
I'm going to cut Kenny Baker loose on a couple of fiddle tunes here for you. I never know what he's going to play, but anything he plays is good, and I'll just grab a handful and hang on. Kenny, tell him what you want to do.
Do this for that Denver Bell, you remember
Denver
that?
Bell, yeah. You know, I heard that tune for a long time, and I didn't know that was Kenny's tune. It's called Denver Bell. It's a pretty tune, I think. This one has done more for the bluegrass fiddle than anybody that I know of. I named him Mr. Velvet. Many years ago, you know, we've been friends for what have we been friends for? No, we met 50-something years ago, even when Bill Monroe and Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs wasn't speaking, me and him was anyway. We'd slip around and say, "Hi, how you doing?" You know. They didn't allow us to speak to each other, they thought. But we've shared a many road trip together. We've been together 21 years. It's the best 21 years I've ever spent in this business, and I've been in it a long time. Do another one, Kenny, you will.
Well, play and see. I'm getting so old I got to play a little bit slower than that. Don't go to sleep on me.
Both of us. I was telling you about a rough time I had in the hospital for a year. That's the truth. I was in there. And don't think them bills don't pile up on you. I want to thank everybody. I know there's a lot here that contribute to the fund that they set up for me. Medicine's so high, I tell you what. In the hospitals, the nurse walked in my room there one day. She had this something around her neck there. I said, "What is that?" She said, "That's my necklace." I said, "Everything else is high in here. I thought it might be your guard." I had one nurse in there. She didn't like me too well because I was a musician. She'd heard of Flat and Scruggs back in the days. I guess we was her grandmother's favorite. Anyway, she'd pick at me any way she could. And she come in there one day and she said, "Mr. Graves, we're going to have to do a specimen test." I said, "Oh my goodness, I wish you'd told me ahead of time so I could study up on it." She said, "No, I want you, when you go to the bathroom, you take this little bottle, you fill that up, and I'll come back and get it, and that'll be the specimen I'll have to take to the lab." I said, "Okay." She left that little bottle sitting in there, and finally, I was laying there, and they brought my lunch in there. And they had a little bottle of apple juice on that tray. Now, don't get ahead of me. I went into that bathroom and I took that apple juice and I filled up that little bottle and I set it back down. I thought, I'll get that old gal. A few minutes here, she come back in there. She said, "Oh, I see you passed the test." I said, "Well, I've done the best I could." She said, "Let me see that." She held it up and she shook it. She said, "It looks a little cloudy." I said, "Let me see it." And I grabbed it, you know, and I shook it. I said, "It does look a little cloudy. Let's run it through one more time." They got me out of there pretty soon. I'd like to do you a tune. It's a slow tune, but this is one of my biggest sellers. I think my wife bought 3 of them. But I wrote this a long time ago, and I recorded it with Lester, I think it was. It's called Flat Lonesome. Y'all remember that? Stay with me, Sonny. Well, you know, when I went with Platt and Scruggs, they hired me come in and work 2 weeks and see if I liked them. I knew them, you know, before in Kentucky. And come in to try out for 2 weeks, and if I liked them, they liked me. I had the job. They kept me 14 years before they decided to hire me. But I went in and worked, played the bass for a little while. And Flat would feature me, like you said. And they called me in one day and said, "We want to talk to you." I thought, Lord, here's a bus ticket back to Richmond. But they wanted to change their music. They told me, said, "Which would you rather play, the bass or the dobro?" I said, "Lord, that's like throwing a rabbit in a briar patch. I'd rather play the dobro." They said, "Well, we want to kind of change our style from Bill Monroe." And I said, "Well, I'll try it." And that's how that started with that. But Mac Wiseman was the first one to use dobro, Bluegrass.
Yeah.
And I did it.
And you did it.
I get tagged for everything, don't I? And I'm going to do a tune now. Baker, I know you cry every time I do this thing. I had an uncle live back there in them mountains, played the banjo like Dean's got over there, but he didn't play it with the 3 fingers. He did the drop thumb, what I call it. He lived in Etowah, Tennessee, and I hated that town worse than a snake. But Daddy'd take us down there, you know, and it wasn't nothing for a kid to do, but I'd sit there and listen to Uncle Jim pick that banjo, and he'd get to drink, and he'd holler, Lord, Lord, them Etowah women. That's all he thought about, the poor fella, was women and whiskey. Couldn't get either one of them, and he died. He did, really. He's Cherokee Indian, never shaved in his life. Of course, he had a beard that was 10 foot long. No, he had the smoothest face I ever seen. I guess I took after him.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do this tune, Kenny, and I don't want you crying now. But if you listen close, I'll show you some of the licks that Uncle Jim taught me when I was about 8 years old. You ain't going to cry, are you?
No, I'm going to get me a seat and be sure that I don't miss a note.
I don't want you to miss a note. It goes back, this old tune, I think it come out of the Civil War. You would know that, wouldn't you?
He's a little sassy since he got him a new car there.
At least I can go to the beer store now. Where was it when you interrupted me?
Come out of the Civil War. I don't remember what.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people call this tune 500 Miles from Home. Called Reuben. And Osborne Brothers cut it. You remember them? That Bobby sings higher than Claude Sharp's dog. He did Ruby. Earl Scruggs come along and took a hold of this tune. It wasn't the same after that. He called it Reuben. I call it Reuben's Train to get away with it, you know. It goes like this. See that train come down, you could hear that old whistle blow 100 miles. 100 miles, 100 miles, 100 miles. You could hear that whistle blow 100 miles. Come on, Kenny. That train runs all right, I'll be home next Saturday night. I'm 900 miles away from home. Let me hear the banjo now. Yeah. Y'all to kind of soften down a little bit. Oak Cliff ain't used to all that noise, and I'm gonna try to show you some of the licks that Uncle Jim taught me back when I was about 8 years old in East Tennessee. Don't leave, we're gonna give away 3 pounds of liver after the show. I just made that up out of my head. Now listen, Kenny, awful close. Now I'm gonna do these licks that Uncle Jim taught me back when I was about 8 years old. Keep the rhythm up, boys, don't quit. have that on a cold morning on that finger. Thank you. Thank you very much.